Hello and welcome to this new episode of Rives Creative Journal. My name is Geneviève, Geneviève.versapin on Instagram and Versapin on Ravelry, and you are on Rives YouTube channel. So Rives is a shop, an online shop for knitting, sewing, workshops, inspiration and so on. And physically we are located in Montérégie near Montreal, Quebec. Before we begin today's journal, I would like to make a symbolic gesture, something really small but that I can do. I would like to light a candle to honor the memory of the 215 children, First Nation children, that were found in Kamloops. So this candle is gonna burn for the whole recording of this journal. And as I said, it's a really small gesture, but it's something I can do. I've heard speakers say, First Nation speakers say again and again that the first step in their eyes is to acknowledge what has happened, acknowledge that it is part of our history. And so I can absolutely do that. And those children have been carried by their mothers, loved, and they died of neglect in a place that had no love for them. And I feel that very deeply. So all the love and care and softness I try to bring with this journal today will be dedicated to honor their memory. So it is for them today. All those good feelings you have while watching this journal, hopefully, I hope you also dedicate to their memory. Let's dive into the projects. So today I have some knitting, sewing, and a bit of botanical dyeing to show you, and some recommendations at the end. No, one recommendation. I had two in French, but one book is only in French, so I will skip it for here. Knitting, let's start with that. I have a project that I've been knitting on non-stop, and now I have to stop. It is a test for fiber tails. I think last time I showed you the yarn, I wasn't sure if I could show you my project, and I've read the welcoming email once more, and it says that it is not a secret, we can talk about it. And it lives in my trusty Jezabel knitting bag, which I like so much. I'm knitting this test in Urso Yarn Co. Blueface Leicester base called PFB in the colorway Latte, which is such a wonderful brown, full of nuances, full of colors inside this brown, and it is so, how would I say? It feels like such self-care to knit this yarn. Let me show you my progress, so my project. So this is the test knit. This test knit is on pause for logistic reasons, but I am really eager for it to start again because I'm eager for it to come out. I'm sure this is gonna appeal to a lot of people. It's a simple tee, short sleeve tee, with an eyelet pattern that really gives rhythm to the knitting and creates this really pretty motif. I really enjoy knitting this. So the sleeves are not done. I still have to pick up the stitches, put the stitches back on my needle and lengthen them a bit, and then you create a kind of gathers with a smaller cuff at the end. Really pretty. And the neckline is also not finished. You have to pick up stitches and do some ribbing. So it's really pretty. I really enjoy it. And I can't wait for the test to start. So I have to stop because I was supposed to stop beforehand when she paused the test, but I just kept going, and now I'm scared that maybe I did something wrong and I will have to rip out a whole lot of knitting. So I decided to stop and wait for it to start again, but really enjoying. And this yarn is perfect for it. The color is so soothing. It really feels like I'm knitting a latte. So it's really great. I'm just, yes, I just want to talk about an experiment I'm doing with this knitting. So basically, once you have, the construction is really cool. I never did any construction like it. So it's, you kind of knit a shoulder, then pick up to knit the back of that shoulder, then do the same on the other side. Then you join everyone and start knitting in the round. And the sleeves are created at the same time. So you never pick up for the sleeves. It just happens. And it's really fun, a construction. I had never done it before. But once you're done with that whole part and that you have separated for the body and the sleeves, it's really easy knitting. Basically, there's the eyelet you have to keep an eye out for, but other than that, it's simple stockinette knitting. So I wanted to try something because I used to be an avid reader, and I have so many books I want to read and that are waiting for me for some kind of future that will never happen. I have it in my head that at some point I will have loads of time to read. And of course that doesn't happen. Of course, when I'm on holiday or something, I have my son at home, and when he naps, I have things I want to do. I want to work on my creative projects mostly. So when I have time, I usually knit. Very rarely would I think, oh yes, I should pick up my book and not knit, because it feels like anytime I want to use it to knit, because I enjoy it so much. I enjoy the feeling of knitting. I enjoy the textures. It really soothes me. So I want to knit. But at some point you are up to date with the podcast you watch. You have watched every series that interested you on Netflix or something like that, and then you just find yourself watching stuff you don't really want to watch just to fill up these moments. And well, I don't know if that's just me, but at some point I just stopped and looked at myself and at what I was doing, and I was like, I'm really watching series, like I'm watching shows on Netflix that I don't really want to watch. And this time that is supposed to be about self-care, as a mother to a young child, I don't have a lot of time, and many of us are just running for time. Like when you have time to knit, it's supposed to be soothing time. I really come back to that word right now, about soothing, and it was depleting me of that. I felt depleted after my knitting sessions because I had watched something that I didn't care about. So I felt like I was filling up on things that don't matter to me. So it wasn't charging my batteries as I wanted to do. So I am doing an experiment with this knitting. I'm trying to read as I knit. So it's really easy once you have gone past the sleeves. And I have heard people talk about reading while knitting, and most of the ones I heard talk would use a Kindle or some kind of electronic device to read, and that is really not my vibe. I think if I was if I read all the time, I totally see how you could balance both, having books and a reading device. But as I don't read that much, I really want to have the book in my hands. So I decided to really try it, to go past that first uncomfortable state of it's new. I'm not used to, like, I put the book in cushions so it stays open and everything, and I like the setup takes a bit of time to get it right and everything because I'm not used to it. But I thought, you know what, I'm gonna really try it. And it's wonderful. I finished a book that I had begun a year ago that I really care about but just couldn't find the time to finish. I've started another one. It really feels like self-care now. It's quiet. Like I just realized that I don't embrace the quiet anymore. I seem to always need to have some noise, like some company in the form of noise, or like a show on, or a podcast in my ears or something. I don't really, I want to embrace silence more, and yeah, it feels like a quiet downtime when I'm knitting while reading. So I encourage you to try it if that speaks to you. I think once you push the discomfort, you push through the initial discomfort of doing something new. Yeah, I just can see pairing easy knitting with lots of reading. I hope I keep it up. Having said that, I had to pause this fantastic self-care knitting and start something new because, as I said, the test is on pause and I don't want to found out that I have to rip everything back. As I have talked about in the last episode of the journal, I started the Celeste Tea by Sari Norlund, and it is such a joy of a project. So I'm knitting it in the Bodice yarn that we have in the shop at the moment, dyed by the wonderful Christine of Les Arts Textiles du Témiscouata. So it's cellulose fiber, so it's cotton and linen, and it really feels like that great delicious washed linen or washed cotton. It's as soft as I just really enjoy cellulose yarns. I find them very wearable, and yeah, just I enjoyed that dry softness. I don't know if that makes sense. It's really dry. It's not like yarn at all, like wool. It's really dry, but it's soft at the same time. I don't know how to explain it. It's really that soft washed linen or washed cotton. So it's a blend of both. And this is the color 13, so 13, which is kind of a medium dark sage. It's beautiful. And the Celeste Tea is proven to be a project of slow knitting. Let me explain. So this is my progress so far. I will have included a picture because you can't really see the project as it is, but you kind of get an idea that something really cool is happening. And in my naivete, being a naive person in general, I thought, oh wow, that's great. I will power through that yoke. It's gorgeous yoke. I will just get some really focused knitting sessions, like a couple of them, power through, and then I will be in that infinite stockinette place that I can read and enjoy reading while knitting. So no, that's not possible. This is definitely something you need to take slowly. If you can knit this fast, you have skills that I definitely don't have. Because the, how do you call this? Nopes? The bobbles? Oh yeah, I think it's bobbles. The bobbles are everywhere, and that is what makes this pattern so special. And she knits them in a way that I hadn't seen before, and it's really simple and creates really nice texture, but it requires time. You need to take your time with this, I feel. But it's really cool, and I can't wait to see it progress some more. And I should say that the Bodice gives a really great stitch definition for this. I was afraid, I didn't know what it's gonna look like, so I'm knitting it double as the pattern calls for. So it calls for a DK or 2 strands of fingering. So that's what I'm doing, 2 strands of fingering weight. And it really, I think it's gonna come out really beautifully. I was afraid that it wasn't gonna show much, but I think the bobbles are really sticking out nicely. So yeah, can't wait to knit on it some more. The only thing I've changed so far, I'm knitting on a size smaller needle than what is recommended in the pattern, just because I needed to. And it calls for a tubular cast on, which I ripped out because mine was way too loose. I think I haven't found how to make a pretty tubular cast on yet. It really, with the way I'm knitting, it's always too loose compared to the rest of the ribbing. It's never that, you know, gorgeous continuous ribbing effect. I never get that. It's always too loose. I think I should go significantly smaller in my needle size to get that effect. It calls for the same needle as you would use for the ribbing, and for me that doesn't create a nice effect at all. So I simply ripped it back. I'm not passionate about tubular ribbing, tubular cast on, to be honest, or tubular cast off. I'm not passionate about that effect. I think that a simple long tail cast on is really pretty. So I have no problems with that. Yeah, really looking forward to see it grow. But as I said, you have to be focused. Maybe I will listen to an audiobook with this. So future projects, knitting dreams. I have a sweater quantity of this yarn, which is Urso Yarn Co. Nord, which is an 80% Dorset, 20% nylon, and it comes from Canadian sheep and is also spun in Canada, so it's a really nice product, and it's about a chunky weight. I think she advertises it as a chunky. I'm eager to try it in a garment, and you would ask, why am I thinking of knitting chunky yarn in the summer? It just, you will understand as the episode unfolds. It's circumstances, because I need to pair this with a mohair, because the project I have in mind, I should say, is the Novice Cardigan Chunky by Petite Knit. I have knit the Novice sweater mohair edition, I think. And I really like that shape, that kind of yoke that has these increases lines. I think it's really pretty and it sits really well on me. And I'm always on the lookout for cardigans that are gonna sit well on my shoulders, because cardigans always fall off my shoulders. So I'm always hopeful to find the cardigan that will fit. And I think a yoke cardigan might be really cool for that. Might give me a chance to have a well-fitting cardigan. And this colorway is so pretty. We have it on a couple of bases at the moment in the shop. I think we have it on boucle yarn, on PFB, her fingering weight Blueface Leicester yarn, and on some mohair, I think. And it always comes out differently depending on the base. And on the Nord yarn, it's cooler. It's much more cool a color. And it fits my skin tone much better than the warmer version. So I'm really glad to have it. And I think the buttons, where did I put these? And for the buttons, I think the ones we have in the shop by Atelier Brunette, the glossy blush buttons, are gonna go very well with this. Either that or I would go for wooden buttons. I will see with the finished garment. So this project is on my mind because I needed a mohair to go with it, and I thought with these beautiful pinks in there, I thought it would really go well with an avocado pink mohair. So a mohair dye with avocado. And I was doing an experiment with that. I talked about dyeing a dress, I think last time I talked about it. So I was gonna have a huge pot of avocado dye, a huge dye bath. So I thought I would dye some mohair for that project. I will talk about that experiment later on. Next knitting dream, it's actually a knitting purchase, a yarn purchase. It's these beautiful skeins. So I have 6 of them, and this is a worsted weight yarn, and it's a special yarn. It is yarn from Gerhard Ullspinnery. Trying to say that as best I can. Gerhard Ullspinnery. If you are a fan of Fiber Tales, which I hope you are because her podcasts are marvelous, you will know this mill. It is a local mill to hers, and they are wonderful in what they do. They mostly work with local Danish yarns, and they do small run for people who want to order them. So that's how Fiber Tales is able to get her yarn spun, her yarn from wool from the sheep of her parents, her family's Gotland sheep. And Gerhard also have their own yarns. So my fiance was traveling to Copenhagen for work, which is something we don't say much these times, but he had to. So he was going to Copenhagen, so I thought, ooh, let me find, I'm sure I can find some yarn, some special yarn that would be worth bringing back from Denmark. And I found a shop in Copenhagen that had Gerhard's yarns. And I was really happy about this. And this one is especially special. It is called Græsgarn, which means grass yarn, basically. And it is not to say that this is cellulose fiber. This is 100% wool. It just means that it comes from their sheep. At Gerhard, they have a small flock, and it is undefined breed that they raise eating grass. That's why it's called grass yarn. And they raise in an organic way. And I think they don't have their certification yet because it takes time to obtain the certification once you make the move to be organic. But it is still the way they raise it. So it's 100% from their sheep. And it is an undyed version in light gray. I'm really happy about it. So it's really fluffy yarn. It's 2-ply that is spun quite loosely, I would say. So I think it's gonna bloom wonderfully. I'm really excited about it, and it's not soft, but it's not itchy. It's just that perfect rustic feel. Yeah, I think it's gonna be great for a garment. So I have 6 skeins because I'm not gonna be able to get more. So I didn't want to run out, so I got 6 skeins so I could do any project I wanted. I'm thinking of something I could wear outside during mid-seasons, so something that would be a nice layering piece. And if everything goes to plan, I think I'm gonna do the Bregne sweater by Fibertails, which is a sweater with a really nice herringbone pattern at the top, which she designed with that kind of yarn in mind. Not this one, but this kind of rustic yarn. If everything goes to plan, or I could change my plan, I have to swatch. So really happy about this yarn from Yelhod. Next up, sewing. So I can talk about what I'm wearing, which I just finished right before recording this journal. It is the Aubépine dress by Direndo, that I did in a viscose with a kind of chambray feel, chambray look to it, but it's definitely a viscose. It is so drapey and so soft. And it is the short sleeve version, which I never did before. And I'm so happy about it. So happy. So let me show you a little more. So it has these pleats here, 3 of them run on the sleeve as well. It is gathered with a waist high, and it's empire waisted, so it's really high waisted, and it's so beautiful. It's lined completely, and I've used the lining fabric to make the tie for a fun effect. I've made it longer than the pattern calls for, and that makes it so wearable to me. Makes it for a very comfortable dress to move in. I've made the pockets also because, yeah, mom life, I really need pockets. I realize that the dresses I have that don't have pockets are really less practical. And I've made modifications to it. So I lined it in our Iris cotton lawn that we have in the shop. It's a gorgeous fabric in itself, but it's also, I feel, the perfect lining fabric because it is really soft, really light, and easy to sew, easy to work with. 100% cotton, really easy to work with, and it creates an interesting lining, so it's fun for you to know that you have an interesting lining. So I've made modifications to this dress. I think I talked a bit about what I would do. So I have a version already that has no modifications. It is the first dress I ever made for myself. I think I've presented it in this journal already. But that's really cool because it serves a bit like a toile. I can go back to it and see what I would make differently for my new version. So that's what I did. I tell you, this is not for the faint-hearted. I slashed away at this pattern piece quite a lot. So basically, it doesn't look too bad on the screen. It's a bit of a, yeah, I played around with this piece a lot. Basically, from my first version, I could see that the bodice was riding up. It's already high waisted, so it's empire waisted, but it was riding up, and it was tight on the bust. So my first thought was to lengthen the bodice, but then I had a rethink, and I know that sometimes when you have a bodice riding up, it means that you may need more room in the bust. It means that you need a full bust adjustment, not to just lengthen the bodice, but really increase the volume here. So I did that. If you search FBA adjustments in Google, you will most likely end up on By Hand London website, and they have wonderful tutorials for FBA and SBA, small bust adjustment. So basically it's a slash and space game, and I added an inch here that then goes here to disappear into the dart. So the volume you add here will disappear into the dart, and it lengthens by default the bodice somehow. And I had to play around to recreate the pleats so they are perpendicular with the grain line. So it is quite tricky, and it did my head in, really. But I'm really glad I took the time to make this adjustment. It is much more comfortable now. If anything, I think I could have done less than an inch of adjustment, because now it's a bit big on the bust. I have a bit excess volume, but honestly it is so comfortable to wear, and the waist tie brings everything in. So I do not regret it. I think if I ever make another version, let's say a winter version, something dressier, I might decrease that full bust adjustment slightly. I think maybe 3/4 of an inch, or even just a bit smaller, might be good. But I'm really happy with it. And just want to say, if you ever want to make that kind of adjustments to a pattern and you don't know where to start, or you don't feel confident doing them, we have help sessions on the website that are always available. You can contact us, or you can book them via the listing, and we do them on Zoom, FaceTime, video messenger, any way you want to video call us, and we can help you with those adjustments. And then I did some work on the sleeve, so I added, I think, 2 inches of ease on the sleeve, because it was kind of skin tight, the sleeve on my other version. I have a strong bicep. Well, it's not strong, you know what I mean. It's a large arm, upper arm. So I like to add ease in my sleeves. It makes for much more comfortable garments and much more flattering that it's not skin tight. I have ease now in the sleeve, which I really like. I think it's one of the reasons I don't wear my previous version as much. I don't grab it as often in my wardrobe, because I know I'm a bit tight in the arms, and this one is really wearable. And once again, you have to true those pleat lines afterwards, so they keep parallel to the bottom of the sleeve. All those adjustments make for a dress I really enjoy, and I have another version coming up. I think I talked about it. Let me see if I can find the bodice piece. So I have another version coming up in this Granito Night fabric. So this is the bodice, all cut and ready to go. Basically, I was kind of rushing through sewing this one, and it's quite a long sew, because it's all lined. You basically have to make 2 dresses and then assemble them together. And I was rushing through it because I wanted to have both dresses to show you today, and then I said, oh wow, what? Wait, stop. Like, this goes against everything you say you believe in. I want to make garments that are gonna last in time, so I need to make good finishings on it. I wear these dresses for years and years, and it goes through the wash, like the family wash. It's not so delicate, so they have to be strong to last. So I was rushing through it and I said, no, stop, take your time. This is, you want to have a sustainable practice. So that's why I don't have 2 dresses finished. But yeah, I don't think you care that much. It's only me that put that kind of pressure on myself. So this is the next version coming up, and I'm really eager to see it. It's going to be quite different because it has a print on it. So I'm yeah, eager to see how the print plays with those pleats. It's going to distort the print, but it's going to make a kind of texture. Just eager to see what happens. Is it going to be a huge mistake? I don't think so. I think it's going to be fine. You also have a version of the aubépine dress without pleats. That could have been a good option for this fabric, but I wanted to see what happens with the pleats. Then a lot of my sewing time has been taken by the Pietra Pants by Wilton Patterns. This pattern right here, which is a nice summer pants, really easy to wear because it has an elasticated waist. If you haven't seen it, we have released a workshop for making the Pietras. So basically, if you would like to learn with us, we have video workshops that are available. So the Pietra is a newly available workshop. If you want to learn how to sew, if you want a first intro into pants making, that's a good choice because we cover a lot of adjustment that you would need to make pants, but also because the Pietra has an elasticated waist at the back, it really resolves a lot of fit issues. So it's kind of a forgiving pants if you want to start making your own and you're kind of afraid of pants fitting. Know that this is an easy fit because of the elasticated waist. So the Pietra are really cool, easy to wear pants. We have the listing for the workshop has a good trailer video, so you can see a bit what we're covering in the class. But maybe you already know these and you have already made them a couple of times. They are so easy to wear, perfect summer pants. This is in cotton linen blend by Robert Kaufman, which is also available at Rives. And they have just gone in the wash and it keeps getting softer and softer. I love it, and slightly wrinkled. It's perfect for summer. And these pockets are perfect for anyone who needs to carry stuff in their pockets, like moms, because you have a baby in your arms. So I really enjoy these deep pockets. And I have a second version in this cotton lawn available at Rives. Floral. It's so fun. These are just fun summer pants. And this goes to show that these are 2 really different versions, because this one really shouts out the fabric. Like, it really gives yeah, you really see the fabric in all its glory, I want to say, in all its fun print. And you almost don't see the pockets when I wear it because the fabric is busy. It hides some of those construction details, so it makes a very different pants than this plain version. So on this fabric you really see the construction details of the pants, and this one you really see the fabric. So I like them both. It's really fun. And it's the same, I think, with my aubépines. Probably this one is going to show the pleats very well, the details of the dress, and the version in the print is going to be very different, more showing off the fabric. Something to keep in mind. Then, next sewing projects, I have something that has been bumped up the queue when it came out. It is from Sew Over It. I'm going to insert a picture because I don't have the pattern with me, but it is the Martha dress, which they just released, and it's right up my alley. It's everything I like. It is a wrap dress, sleeveless for summer, which is perfect, but the right kind of white wide shoulder strap. It's not shoulder strap, but you know what I mean. So it's wide here, so it's really comfortable to wear, and it's has a lengthy skirt, so the skirt is quite long. I think, yeah, and the tie is really nice. Yeah, just pretty. So if I have time to sew it this summer and add it to my wardrobe, I would be a happy camper. Otherwise, my son is gonna be prioritized in my sewing next. We have received some Wilton Patterns at Rives. I think she will stop printing them, so we grabbed the last, not the last, but you know, amongst the last copies. So we have gone for one adult pattern, the Wilton Shift, which I know is really loved, and I can see why. It is really versatile pattern, simple pattern. You can make a top, a tunic, a short dress, a long dress with ties. It has pockets. It's really pretty and simple, and can really give all, yeah, can really show off a fabric also, and can be done in wonderful natural fibers also. It's, yeah, just a really cool pattern. So there's that in the shop, and I'm really pleased with those children's pattern. So children patterns are a great way to use fabric scraps, but often children patterns will be for knitted fabrics like jerseys and terries and all that good stuff that children can really play around in and move in. But it's I'm really glad when I find nice patterns for woven fabrics for children, because I sew a lot of woven, and I have nice scraps of fabric that can be used for making children's clothes, and these are really roomy, so I think he's gonna move around well in them, even though it's woven fabric. So these are the bloomers, and you can make pants or shorts or short bloomers, and you can also omit the elastic down the leg to make simple shorts or simple pants, and they are quite roomy. So I think I'm gonna make some for my son Mihai. And we also have this baby and child smock top and dress, and so you can make it long or short, or you can mix and match and make it short with long sleeves, really up to you. And I'm really I want to try perhaps the version that is presented as a painting, how do you call that, a painting top. He's too young for painting activities yet, but it's going to come quicker than I think. So I think that would be nice. A couple of nice leftovers for the bloomers. I have this fabric, this one, that would make for very soft bloomers. He would be very comfortable in them. So that's a possibility. I have leftover from Les Arts Textiles du Témiscouata fabric that I showed you last journal. I have a good leftover also, and that would be really cute on him. So hand-dyed bloomers for my son, that would be gorgeous. I might try these. I think it would be really cute in these. So I might go ahead and make him some floral bloomers. He would be really, really cute. That's it for sewing. Let's talk about botanical dyeing. So I have made an experiment in botanical dye. I think I may have showed you already some footage, strongly inspired by a wooden nest and her aesthetic when showing her dyeing experiments. I find her really inspiring. So I hope you forgive the nod. So I had a big quantity of avocado skins and pits that I had kept in my freezer. I don't know if that's a big no-no to do that with dyeing material, but I had So when Mihai started to learn how to eat, started solids, he was eating a lot of avocado because it's really soft and easy. So I kept, it's not something we eat that much in our household, but for some reason at that point we were eating a lot of them. So I kept all the pits and the skins, freeze them, waiting for a time where I could dye with them. So I wanted to dye the dress I showed you in the last journal that was white. It was a toile I made using toile fabric, cotton fabric, simple plain white cotton. And I would never wear a white cotton dress, I don't think, like this one. Maybe another type, but this one I was not gonna wear it. So I thought I should try and dye it. Why not? It's just a toile. If it doesn't work, it's not a problem. So I have this huge pot for dyeing. I put all the material in it, all the avocado in it, and make this huge bath. But it was way too much for just a dress, so I thought, yes, I should dye some other stuff with it. So I have 3 mohairs that are gonna go in, that I planned for the novice chunky cardigan. So I thought, okay, I will dye this. I think avocado pink would go really well with the yarn I have. And then I had lying around, I had some Urso Mouton undyed that Paul offered me last summer. Paul is my business partner at Rives, I think I haven't said in the intro. So yes, I had some Urso Mouton undyed, and the project I had in mind for this yarn went away. I didn't want to do it anymore, so it was just lying there. So I thought, yes, I'm gonna put it in the dye pot as well and see what happens. So all of these different fibers took the dye, so I'm really happy about that. But it turned out quite different than I thought. It turned peach. I think the color you are seeing is quite good. Let me turn down the exposure somewhat. Yeah. Something like that is really rich and deep as you are seeing it. So yes, it turned peach, and I should have known because I have heard that avocado skins will give you a peach color and avocado stones will give you more of a pink. And I have just mixed everything in there, and I think the bath was more influenced by the skins than the stones. It looked like it wanted to turn pink at some point, but it didn't. And I had put a pink zipper on my dress because I knew I was gonna dye it with avocado, but it turned out, I don't know if that showed on camera, but it turned out way more peachy than pink. So what to do next? This color is gorgeous. I really enjoy the depth of naturally dyed colors, but it's not a color I wear at all. It doesn't do anything for my skin tone. So I'm undecided as to what I should do. I have a couple of options in mind. So I still have the dye bath. I could modify it with iron. So I have iron water in a jar. I could modify the bath and put everything back in it. My guess is that it would cool down the color, but it would turn out as dark, if not darker than this. Because, let me show you. For a match for this yarn, this is quite a fail. Yeah, if I wanted to match it with this yarn, it's quite a fail because this is quite cool and it's quite a warm color and it's a bit dark to mix. Like my first thought was to mix white mohair or perhaps lightly dyed mohair, and this turned out quite dark. So if I modify it with iron, it's gonna be as dark, if not darker. So I have doubts about this. I have doubts about this because I really like the color. I could add the iron water to the bath and heat it up and see how it turns out without putting the fibers in it first. But, you know, it's just experimenting. I want to be bold and try. But this is really lovely, and they were going to go in different projects, but now they are kind of shouting to be knitted together. So I don't know. I could also simply put some new mohair in the bath because there's still color in it. It would be more light. It would be lighter, and modify this with iron to make it cooler. I could do that. That's probably what I'm gonna do. But I still don't know what I'm doing with these because I don't wear that color. And this is quite rustic. I'm not sure I would do something for my son with it. Do I keep them? Probably. I'm probably gonna keep them like this and find someone that it would make happy to have them. I'm not sure. And the dress I'm happy about because I just wanted something toned down that wasn't white. And this I'm quite happy about. If it turns out that the bath is a really interesting color with iron, I might dip it back in it to make it less beige. I don't know. So there you go. I think it's so fun to try and dye yarn. I really enjoy the process and just not knowing what comes out of the dye pots. Yeah, really enjoy it. I'm almost up with what I wanted to say. I'm almost done. One last thing, I had a podcast recommendation that I wanted to make. So the books I'm reading right now are in French, so I'm gonna keep that for the French podcast. But I have some English one coming up, so I can share then. But other than that, I'm listening to a podcast constantly I have been listening to it for the last year, on and off, but really it's been present. It is the Slow Home podcast. If you don't know it, I highly recommend it. It is available on all podcast platforms, and so iTunes in my case. And they have recorded a lot of episodes. So it's been going on since 2015 or 16, I think, and it's all available on iTunes. And their subjects are all relevant, so relevant. And I find it really, really thought-provoking, change-provoking. Also, if you are interested in slow living and simplicity. And yeah, so they haven't been really active recently. They explain why, but personal reasons. So they explain it really well in their last episodes, but you have all the archives you can go through. I've started from the beginning, I think, last year, and I'm still not done with half of it. So it's really, they have put a lot of good material out there, and they have wonderful guests, wonderful talks amongst them. It's a couple of Australians. Yeah, it's such a great podcast, such great content, and it really gets me thinking about simplifying and slow living in general. And they talk a lot about mental health through all of this, and this really speaks to me a lot. And yeah, just some great vulnerability from their part. They really get in the deep subjects. So yeah, if you're interested, go check it out. It's wonderful. So that is it from me. I hope you have enjoyed this podcast. Please leave me a comment below, yeah, and subscribe if you've enjoyed it and want to see some more. So yeah, see you next time with some more projects and inspiration.